record. Okay, we should be up and running. Hopefully.
It's like the meal, right? He just does a...
We just all do that to start the episode.
Guys, welcome back to the Pause Rewind Play podcast. We're here. We're trying something new today. So obviously I'm staring into a camera for the first time if you're watching this visually. Welcome. Vince has done so much to get things kind of going and kind of like a natural progression of the podcast. So where was that clapping reel, that applause reel that you had on this? Is this one?
I don't know. You have to...
I think it's the yellow one.
That's pretty good too, though.
So there you go.
Nice.
Vince gets applause from us, so thank you, Vince.
You're welcome.
I'd give you 2 thumbs up, but I only have 1. So
now
I can throw.
But now
in
I
those
put all
jokes.
this work into it, so now we have to start consistently playing again, recording again. Sorry, this is all playtime to me.
All right, I just want to shake your hand and commit to it. Here you go. It's official. It's official. I commit. It's like now we need like a stamp. What are those people called? A notary?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Well,
We
get a
don't
notary.
have to do it every week, but if we can find some sort of consistency, that would be fun.
How
I
about
think.
like bi-weekly would be good.
That's fine. I mean, whenever you guys are available. I have a lot of time on my hands, as you can tell. So
Well.
you guys are the ones with lives. When you're ready to record, I am available.
Do you want to know something crazy? Is recently, because I'm like getting to the finale of school officially, I can count on one hand how many classes I have left after this semester, which is crazy for me because I freaking suck at school and have taken way too long to do it. But my life is very consistent. I wake up in the morning, I do some light yoga, then I go to work, and then I take a lunch. Then I walk the dogs and play the dogs. Then I go back to my computer and do analytics until like 11 to 2 in the morning. And I only have 1 more final for the semester. They have 3 weeks off, so we better make the most of it.
And then it's Christmas break for 3 weeks? Is that
Yeah,
what it is?
Christmas break for 3 weeks. Then,
Yeah.
I go back to work for 3 weeks. And then my baby is allegedly supposed to arrive during that time.
Really? That soon?
Yeah.
God, it's coming up fast.
Do you guys want to hear something crazy? This is whatever.
Yes.
But my baby is like 1.5 pounds heavier than the average baby at the current timeline. So my baby is huge.
I heard.
Yeah.
Poor Allie.
Al told me.
Yeah, Allie's freaking out. She's like, "What genetics do you have?" I don't even know how much I weighed at birth, if you really want to know that. Like, it's not on my birth certificate. Like, it doesn't exist anywhere. Nobody knows. It's a mystery.
Maybe you were just like a big old baby, and we never knew until now.
And plus, I would have been lighter than like perceived it have been like a standard issue 2-armed baby. So who knows?
Oh, yeah.
How much does an infant arm weigh? Has anyone done the research on this?
Hey, Google.
Google.
Or whatever, Alexa, Siri, whoever you do.
someone around here.
Someone?
Please?
I don't know. Well, should we get past the banter, say hello, and get right into the podcast? What do you guys
Do
think?
it.
I like it. I do like a little banter, though. Oh, dude. I have a fun fact for today. It has nothing to do with movies, but I came across this today, and I wanted to go over it. All right. Pretend that you're in Detroit, Michigan, all right? You're in Detroit, Michigan, and you head directly south. What are the first 3 countries that you would pass through besides the United States? And hint, they all start with C and end with A.
Cuba?
All 3 of them.
Colombia?
You're asking the wrong guy. I
C.
suck at geography.
So Cuba and C, it starts with C and ends with A.
Starts with C and ends with A.
If you're going straight down to
Straight down, the first 3 that you'll cross.
Not Colombia.
Not Colombia. Colombia's too
Colombia
far
is too
east.
far the other way. So,
Want to hear something crazy?
yeah.
Cuba's not the first one
What?
that you'll
What is?
cross. Canada. Because Detroit goes like this, and like right there,
Oh, freaking Canada
slips in.
has a little peninsula in there.
So you go
doesn't it?
straight down, you'll go through Canada, you keep going down, you'll go through Cuba, and then if you go straight down from Detroit, like if you drew like a super straight line, you hit barely Costa Rica
Costa Rica.
as that little middle part. Sorry, that is like the weirdest thing that we didn't have to talk about, but it was just like the craziest sounding fact that I learned today.
Now you know it. Josh's fact corner.
Josh's geography quiz on our movie podcast.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Well, let's do it then. Let's podcast about a movie. We came here specifically to talk about a movie called The Menu, or in Dutch, Het Menu, or De Menu.
Or in Portuguese, o cardápio.
Or in English, the menu. I don't know. I suck at this.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
I don't know geography, and I don't know different languages.
Porque,
Moving on.
porque tu es no habla un other language.
I know a little Spanish, but I don't know how to say menu in Spanish.
I don't either.
Do we need to just really quick recognize that we're attempting to do this on video for the first time, or did we already do that?
I think we lightly acknowledged it, but like you watching
Oh
this
yeah,
right
because you're
now.
staring into the camera. Okay,
Yeah,
moving on.
I'm awkwardly staring into the camera too. I'm like hunching too because I want people to be able to see us. But if I sit up to a healthy range here, this
the whole time you just gotta sit up straight.
just working on my posture, boys. But yeah, so we're actually like good call out, Vince. Like really, we are trying to really develop and grow the podcast in like a cool angle, and Vince really has been the spearhead behind it. But
Good job memorizing that one.
I'm memorizing that one. I didn't want to do that.
I'm just real worried that there's so many different pieces going on now. I'm like checking the video feed on my watch. I'm making sure the recording's going. I'm making sure the mics are all working. I'm just like paranoid that something is going to break, which probably will eventually.
Do you guys know about Murphy's Law?
That something will always break.
Well, what can happen will.
Oh yeah.
That's
Dogs.
I learned that from Inception. Not Inception.
Interstellar.
Thank you. I learned that from Interstellar. So yeah, but yeah, we're talking about the menu tonight.
Real quick, just to recognize one more thing. If you hear growling and barking in the background, you've probably seen my dumb dog's head pop up every once in a while.
Or the little tail wag.
They're down here wrestling around, so I'm sorry if there's a growling in the background.
Also, one of the dogs who's holding their own is like a third of the size of the other dog. So
yeah, Bernard the pug. He's got the heart of a champion, man.
I like that you just labeled him Bernard the pug. Like that's just so honest. Like Bernard the pug.
It's really funny. So Paige got Bernard years ago. We call him Bernie, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I got my dog 6 months ago, something like that, maybe a little longer.
Yeah.
I named him Mac after Fat Mac from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. And, we just call him Mac.
Yeah.
And if you get really frustrated with both the dogs, you're like, Bernie, Mac. And then it gets really weird because people think I'm like a super fan of Bernie Mac, and I'm not really a super fan. All right, we can talk about movies.
No. I was actually gonna pull up my letterbox because I saw Josh load his.
I
as
pulled
well.
up because we always tend to do. Usually we have a quick little, hey, what have you been watching recently? What have you been getting into? And so Letterboxd, who we are not sponsored by, but would love to one day, of course.
Thanks, Letterboxd, for your
I thought when I was
sponsorship.
pulling all the movie information tonight, I thought about getting the Letterboxd review, how we do IMDb gave it this and Flickster gave it that, but it's kind of hard because it's just in bars, and so it's I thought
I think
we could
they
get the
give
one
it an
that's
average.
the highest rating, which is we could do that.
There's the mode.
Yeah, if we want
These
to
things you learned in elementary school, mathematics, the one that has
the mode.
The highest.
Oh no, the mode is the one that's I don't know.
So I can add that next time into the show notes.
Yes.
Good.
Very good. All right. I'll just start it off. I've been kind of on a Christmas kick lately because it's December when we're recording this. So besides the menu, which I did watch as well, my last 3 movies watched are Muppet Christmas Carol, 5 stars.
Yes,
always the best Christmas movie to ever exist.
I literally watched that before I came and got you.
I know you did because I saw Sisters Marco Polo.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special. It's fine. It's good.
Keep forgetting that it came out.
I liked it. It's fine. You're not missing anything by not seeing it, but it's kind of cute, kind of cool. And then Happiest Season, one of my favorite newer holiday movies.
Have you watched that one?
Kristen Stewart.
Yes.
He has.
Saw it, yeah.
I saw it on Letterboxd.
I couldn't remember if that was the name of it, but I thought I was pretty sure that's what it was.
One of my favorite new Christmas movies. So
Really good.
And then Wednesday. I've been watching Wednesday on Netflix. Not binging it, though, because I'm still not done, so no spoilers.
How far into it are you?
I am on episode 5,
Out of
I think.
8, right?
Out of 8, yeah.
Have you seen the dancing yet?
Yes. The thing that you see everywhere.
Yeah.
I know, it's huge. It's all over the internet.
So I don't even have Netflix anymore. We got rid of Netflix, and then this came out, and a couple other shows that I wanted to watch, all are on Netflix all of a sudden. I'm like, why did I get rid of Netflix? So yeah, I'll have to come over to your house and just sit in your living room and watch it. Maybe I'll come to Vince's house.
Do it.
And cuddle with Bernie.
Yeah, you're always welcome.
Nice.
I got 2 TVs in the house. We can even watch separately if you want.
Vince, you're next. What have you been watching?
I actually just finished Wednesday last night. I liked it. It was really good. It's Harry Potter. but with the Addams Family. Yeah?
Yep.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It's like a Harry Potter TV show, and that's why it's super popular. That's kind of my vibe I got from it.
Something like that. A lot of people like Jenna Ortega, it seems, as well.
Love her.
So.
She's like the new Scream queen, man. She's showing up in all the good horror movies.
What else has she been in?
The new Scream.
Okay.
She was in that movie. I haven't watched it yet, but it's like a really big like indie horror or something. X, right?
I don't know. She's in that one.
I've seen some interviews from her talking about Wednesday stuff, and she had mentioned it. I think
Cool.
they filmed it in New Zealand, and she brought it up a few times. So X.
There's some other ones too that I can't think of off the top of my head, but she keeps showing up. Maybe in The Babysitter 2, but that might have been someone else. I want to say that was her. Don't watch The Babysitter 2. It's terrible. But I think she was in that one.
Is
I
it
think
for-
that's-
I saw the first one.
oh, the first one was fun.
Yeah, it was fun.
Is the Babysitter with Arnold Schwarzenegger?
No.
Or am I
No,
thinking
no.
Kindergarten
It's
Cop?
a crappy like B horror movie.
Oh,
And the first one was really fun. Yeah, she's in it. She plays Phoebe in it, and she's fine in it. I mean, it's a dumb one. The first one's good. You should watch the first one next.
The first
Halloween.
one's good, except for it's, on Netflix.
Yeah.
Oh.
But
man.
I'm not saying that's a bad thing that I think it's Harry Potter, but with the Addams Family, it's like the third most popular show on Netflix already in the first season.
wow.
And it's fun to see Tim Burton back. There's a monster in it, and I love the design of the monster and how it looks, and like almost like it's CGI monster, but like it almost has like a physical feel to it just by the way it looks, if that makes sense.
Because it has such a physical, because it's like you see the monster, or at least kind of it, in the first couple of episodes, right? And it has such a physical feel with its body and the way that it looks. But then you look at its face and its eyes, and it's so like, it's like comical and not like goofy.
Almost cartoony.
It is very cartoony
But-
while still looking
Yeah.
real, right? And so it makes it look like a cartoon weird monster while still being like, hey, this is just like weird spooky thing, right?
Yeah.
It's not meant to be like, oh, that was so scary.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
And then you see like drawings of it throughout the show. It's just like, oh yeah, this is totally Tim Burton. It's just got his vibe so much. Harry Potter's good, and the Addams Family was a lot of fun. I'm a 35-year-old adult now, though, so like high school dramas aren't as fun as they used to be. But I still really enjoyed it, and I loved the Addams Family references through the whole thing. I definitely recommend it. But to wrap around to movies, well, I got a shout out real quick. White Lotus season 2. The series season finale is on Sunday. White Lotus might be my favorite TV show of the year. I binged the first season and then went right into the second season, and I have absolutely loved every minute of it. Now to movies, I saw Violent Night.
Yes.
it's good. I want.
It was a
to.
lot of fun. It was really, really fun. It was like a over the top, Die Hard, Home Alone, John Wick. Is really entertaining. So
I love David Harbour.
Yeah,
I'll
I'd
be
hide
there.
it. And if you love David Harbour, you'll like this. Like, all of it was good. The guy who's in actually the Menu was in it too, John Leguizamo.
Oh yeah.
It's nice that he's showing up in movies again. I kind of missed him and didn't realize he's freaking Luigi.
Perfect.
He deserves like a little bit more attention than he has gotten historically, because I feel like every performance he's done, like he's not the greatest actor in the world, but he's good enough and you can buy it that he's there, and he brings a little swagger to it.
Yeah.
Every time you're like, this man's got swag.
Yeah, I really like him. I mean, he's one of those like childhood actors I'll remember forever. He was the clown in Spawn. Like I said, he was in the Mario Brothers movies. Like, he's just good. He's just fun. I'm glad he's showing up again.
Yeah.
That's about all I've been watching a bunch of other stuff, but that's all I really want to talk about.
And Casey.
I've watched a lot since I saw you, actually, guys. I didn't tell you guys about this, but I watched Black Panther 2 in Canada at a massive freaking theater in Canada in 3D. I still hate 3D.
Oh, they offer 3D in regular movies now.
Yeah.
I didn't realize they're still doing that.
I thought we moved past that.
We should have, but we
Canada
haven't.
hasn't yet.
It's just one of those things. But then also, since I've been here, I watched Where the Crawdads Sing, which was actually super epic. I don't know if you guys watched that one.
I've heard a lot about it. I haven't watched it though.
Very intriguing story. I watched Severance, which I could go off on for a long butt time, but I'm not going to.
I like your idea. If Casey had an idea that we do a mini episode or something about Severance, and I'm all about that. Wait, Vince, have you seen Wakanda Forever?
Yeah, I did. Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
just me then.
You haven't seen it yet?
You're alone?
What's going on?
I just haven't been going to the movie theater a lot lately because there's like, it's not like it's super far or anything. It's just further. Because when I lived in Pleasant Grove and when I lived in Layton, you know, there was always one just like right there where I could literally see a movie was going to start in like 5 minutes and just get there. Yeah. Right. And like I said, it's not that it's super far, but there's not one like right in the city that I live in right now.
Yeah.
But it's
yeah,
just,
we
like,
either have to drive south for 10
like
or 15
either come up
minutes
here to this one
or north.
That is, yeah,
or
way
down.
out of the way now.
So it's just like, it's not like it's that big a deal. I just like, if I'm going to go see a movie, I actually have to be like, okay, I'm going to go see a movie on this day, on this time, and go do it. Which it's also not like it's that big a deal. The main thing I'm getting at is I'm lazy, okay? Like, just, I actually have to go see the movie now. And don't get me, like, the whole, like, COVID, you know, stuff started streaming direct to video and stuff like that instead of just in the theater. Don't get me wrong. There are some movies like, you know, like Black Panther and other things that I'm like, yes, you should and need to go see some things in the theater, right? Mm-hmm. But I just think my standard for that has kind of been pushed a little bit. Well, I'm just like, there are things that look better and some things that are really visually beautiful that they need to be seen in a theater, or it just makes it so much better. And I'm just like, my bar for that is kind of low because I'm like, visuals, if visuals is like the main reason you're going, then yes. Like, our work is taking us, Vince and I's work, to go to a movie at the end of the year like they usually do, and Avatar's one of the movies, and I'm going to go see that. And I'm not like a huge like Avatar person or anything like that. I feel like if work wasn't taking me, I would probably still go, but I would only go in the theaters. Like, I don't think I'd want to watch Avatar at home.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, me
like,
neither. I actually went and saw the first one again when it was re-released just barely, and I own that movie, and I've never felt like the need to go back and rewatch it. But as soon as they put it back in the theater again, I was like, oh yeah, okay, I'll go check that out. Oh, it's in 3D, perfect. It's the only movie franchise I want in 3D.
Well, and that's what's hard is like, if we're talking specifically, like Avatar's a film built for the theater. Mm-hmm. Like, watching it at home, like no matter how big your screen is behind us, it still isn't the same as like the impact I remember. Like, Vince and I grew up in a very small area, and when that movie came out, I went to the biggest theater in the area. It's like a half the size of the theaters up here. And so like, but that was epic for me. Like, it was amazing. It was an experience. And I still remember going to Avatar. We went twice. And so it was like super amazing. But then watching it later on like my TV, it wasn't like, it was Dances with Wolves with blue people.
Or yeah.
Like that's the story.
Pocahontas.
Yeah. Pocahontas, like any of those stories. So it's just one of those things where it's like, it needs to be in the theater, and there are franchises built. Actually, I want to shout out something really quickly, and I know it's like just a plug, but my professor who runs the marketing, like it's the UV Smart Lab marketing kind of data, they're jumping on the KSL News radio show actually next week on the movie segment to kind of talk about Avatar, the new Avatar film, and how it's going to potentially impact the way that we look at movies going forward. It's actually a very fascinating thing. I was talking to him about it for a little while the other day. I was like, that's cool. I didn't even know like people did that like on such a small level, like here in Utah. Like, oh, how will Avatar affect the future of movies here in the state?
That's awesome. On that note, I've become that guy who's like, yay, free movie. I'm going to go see Avatar. Oh, wait, it's not in IMAX 3D. Oh, maybe I don't want to go see a free movie.
True. You're like, oh man, I should see this before so I see it.
Yeah.
Well, because that was, what was it that we saw? I think last year we saw Spider-Man No Way Home, right? Because that was like a big like December release. And I think it was my first time watching it, but I definitely considered, because it, you know, all the hype around it when it was going on, I definitely considered like going to see it before, like in IMAX. But I didn't end up doing that. So,
but can we all talk about the days of going to see Star Wars every Christmas?
I know, I miss that.
Yeah, I miss it as well. And I miss that my company I used to work for used to pay for me to go see it. So
we need more Star Wars in theaters.
We need more Star Wars. You hear that, Jon Favreau, whatever your name is? Make more Star Wars.
Well, we saw episode 9, I think, but that was at the
long
very
time
tail
ago
end.
now.
That was like a couple years. I think it was 2 years ago.
Yeah, it was like 3 or 4 now. Yeah.
Dude, I always feel like I've only been at this job for like 2 years. But
we're getting
it's
old.
always longer, I guess.
I feel that way too.
Time is passing. We've been doing this since 2019, guys.
That's
what's crazy is like, before this, we were still watching movies and seeing movies together. It's just all blended now.
2019, so 3 years.
Yeah.
Jeez.
I don't think we've done an episode of the podcast on Star Wars before. So
Before that one?
no, I don't think
At
we've
all.
done
Since
one.
that one.
I don't think we did it.
No, we didn't do that one, did
We
we?
didn't.
I'm pretty sure.
I don't feel like we
I remember
did.
complaining a lot about that one. And you had a friend that came over that knew Star Wars, and we even did a follow-up episode.
We did.
Yeah.
I remember now.
I was really let down by that movie. It resides deep in my mind.
You wish you'd never seen Mind.
Yeah.
Oh,
I haven't seen it again since, so.
well, sucks to suck. I've watched them all again.
Oh my gosh, we did a full episode, and I was with Casey. I was like, yeah, we didn't do that. Like, what are you talking about? Like, come here, look at our list. Oh yeah, Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker.
Can we
There
talk
it
about
is.
that? What sucks to suck moment right there? Like that was a great exchange between you and me.
Oh my gosh.
All right, but yeah, like the final movie I want to call out really quickly, if you don't have Apple TV, that I've watched is actually Spirited, the new one with Will Ferrell and
yeah.
Ryan Reynolds. Great holiday movie, and it was very funny. And if you like comedy, musicals, and Ryan Reynolds and Will Ferrell, you'll love it. And it's great. A lot of good twists. Also, I watched House of Gucci really quickly. Don't need to talk about that anymore. It was just House of Gucci, and it was everything I wanted it to be.
I liked it, too.
Not a great film, not a terrible film, but I would watch it again. So that's it. But no, what do you guys think? Do you think we should start talking about this our movie, or do we have anything else to add really quickly?
No, I'm good.
Time to get into it.
It's time to get into why we're really here, which is the menu, right?
I got the movie info.
Should we all clap simultaneously for it really quick? 1, 2, 3.
Oh, dang it.
I like how we
Pass that,
all
Vince.
three did something different right there. It's because that's what we do. But anyhow, Vince, you got the movie info. Take us away, please.
Okay, so The Menu, directed by Mark Mylod. The Menu, directed by Mark Mylod. I don't know how to say his name. Written by Seth Rice and Will Tracy. It was released on November 18th, 2022. Had a budget of $35 million and has a worldwide gross of $48.6 million. Rotten Tomatoes, 89% of critics like it, and 78% of the audience like it. And IMDb gave it a 7.5. What did Letterboxd give it?
Letterboxd, the average score that users have given it is 3.8 stars
3.8.
out of 5.
Starring Ralph Fiennes. How do you say his last name?
Fiennes.
Ralph Fiennes as Chef Slawick, Anya Taylor-Joy as Margot, Nicholas Hoult as Tyler, and John Leguizamo as movie star. I wanted to put. I forgot. I was going to add the chef's assistant, the actress that plays her.
Hong Chau.
Yeah, is that her name?
Mhm.
I was going to add her to this list because I think she deserves to be on there too. But apparently I forgot to add it. But she was fantastic in this, so I don't recognize her from anything else. I don't know if you guys do, but I thought she was great.
Click on her and see what she's in. But yeah, I don't think I'd seen her anything else either. But I definitely liked what she did, and she was kind of like the forefront of like creepy staff people.
Yeah. She's always there.
Like the
leaning.
person who greets you at the restaurant, and she's like there the whole time, but in a bad way.
Yeah.
She's been in a lot of like TV series, looks like, but like she's a voice on BoJack Horseman, American Dad. She's been on Big Little Lies, A to Z, but most recently she's been on The Watchmen, Homecoming, Artemis Fowl, Showing Up, which is a 2022 film, The Whale, and The Menu.
Whale.
So
Cool. She's got a career.
yeah, got a career.
Look forward to seeing her more.
We're
She's
just ignorant. Didn't know her until now.
great. I have one casting consideration.
Okay.
Ready.
In 2019, Emma Stone was attached to play the lead with Alexander Payne directing, but until that got changed. So
I feel like, and this isn't meant to be like a dig at either of them, quite the opposite. It's meant to be good for both of them. I feel like both Anya Taylor-Joy and Emma Stone could have nailed this role.
I feel like both of them have like kind of, if we're talking about it in this way, like they could have both done very well. I think they kind of both have the ability to bring kind of that haunt that is humanity into things. Like not like a repulsive things, but they're raw and they're real and they're good at being human in that moment, right? But they also have a way of like telling a story through their movements, their facials, like how their facial expressions, how they do everything. And so I don't know, they would have done great. That's interesting. I didn't know.
I agree with both you guys, but I think with Emma Stone, she could have done well, but I feel like it would have been a very different version of the character. I mean, not very different, but I don't know. They just are different to me in my mind. Anya Taylor-Joy has such a unique vibe to her,
Yeah.
and Emma Stone does as well. But I don't think they're the same vibe.
They're very different, and I would say like and I hate being like the person like but like you're right, the vibe they bring in is different, and also like their movements, their bodily movements, and the expressions, the way they do things are different enough that you're right. But they're both kind of like, if we're stereotyping people or categorizing people, right? They're both like Caucasian women, like that's what they both look like, and they both fit like kind of like a stereotype. However, Anya Taylor-Joy, I think, is like Argentine or Spanish British type thing, something like that, and so she has like a different feel to her, I think, than like just bringing in Emma Stone. And like nothing against anyone, it's just I think
it's just different. Yeah.
There's just different things.
Here's the important part with Margot / Erin, right? Is that I think it's really important for this role to have someone who could play it really well, but also someone who seems like kind of like a down to earth, like not as like movie star celebrity style person. And that's not saying that Anya Taylor-Joy isn't, right? She's especially over the last, 4 or 5 years, like up and coming like celebrity and stuff. But I feel like it's less time than Emma Stone, and Emma Stone has kind of cemented herself as like, oh yeah, movie star and stuff like that. And Anya Taylor-Joy definitely is as well. But I feel like while she's still on the come up, it kind of makes it feel a little different, right? Because can I hit the spoiler button? Are we there yet?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, spoiler button, if watch the menu first. It's obviously right. The whole thing is that Chef, when he sees her and knows that she's a different person, right, it throws a wrench into his plan because she's not in that same class of people, right?
Well,
as everyone else.
He doesn't know
Right.
whether or not she is. Right?
He doesn't know, and he finds out, and we find out as the movie goes along, right, is that she's not that super bougie, high class people who are going to pay $1,200 for a culinary experience, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like really important that she can bring that real down to earth humanness to the role, which I feel like she does really well.
Yeah, definitely.
I would agree with you. I think in cementing that, like, good call out. I was going to go off on a tangent, but I'm going to save it for later in the pod because we're kind of still at the beginning, the comeuppance of everything. What do you think, Vince? Like, what's kind of your thoughts now that you've kind of like got kind of this space? Like, what's your, like, if we were to do it in a quick snapshot of the film, like, how was it for you? Did you enjoy it? Was it like,
oh my gosh,
something you're not
dog, stop licking me.
Hello, I would like to give you a bath.
I really liked it. I went and saw it on a Tuesday night, kind of like I do on a semi-whim, It was like, oh, Tuesday rolled around, I'm going to go see a cheap movie, and I've been wanting to see it for a long time, and sat down, and I really, really enjoyed it. I felt like it was a very unique, original idea that they finally got across. It wasn't high action, it wasn't high-paced, and I did not know what to expect from it. Like, I 100% expected this to be kind of an action thriller, cannibalism or something kind of movie,
Same.
From all the like vibes of just like, oh, you're on. I 100% thought it was gonna be you're on the menu, and then they hunt them through the forest or something, and each one starts getting killed to start serving to some crazy high class like. What's the Purge, like the Purge something movie? That's kind of what I expected from this because I didn't really watch anything except for the one trailer a long time ago. So I was pleasantly surprised that was not what this is. It's not this generic horror thriller movie. It's something way, I think, smarter. Loved the kind of tension, but comic. It's comedic. It's comedic at the same time. That's the right word, right? Comedic. Like, it's funny, but it's also got like high stakes going on.
Mm-hmm.
Well acted. Everybody in it's really good. The setting's awesome, and the shots of the food make it look incredible. Like, spoilers for later when we get to our most rewindable scenes, like the rewind. Just keep showing me those close-ups of those food.
Yeah,
I'll just rewind those and watch those over and over again.
I'm very hungry actually when you're talking about this. Like,
so yeah, I really liked it. I thought it was really good.
We couldn't go the whole time because that food looked so amazing. Sadly, it wasn't the actors. It wasn't Ralph Fiennes who made the food. Oh my goodness, crazy, right? I had to give a shout out to its chef. Dominique Crenn is the main person who consulted on the movie and helped actually make all of those dishes and stuff and made them look beautiful. So we have to shout out her because she's incredible and made the food look that amazing.
Well, and it's actual, like, a mixture of actual food service people with the artists, going into this. And so many people, you could talk about this for a long time, but, like, so many people look at chefs now as artists. And that's kind of a big premise of this movie, actually, is the chef as an artist. How is art dying? What is killing art? And what is destroying the craft that so many have honed in on, right? Because there's so much you can do that's no longer takes time to develop any longer. Like it's very complex to like talk about, but it also it's just, I don't know, it's a quality film.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right. And I think we'll get into that in a minute. Just the reason why the chef brought all these people together, and including himself in this whole menu. But before we get to that, I just have to add on to what you said real quick about the food and the chef that made it. I found a fun fact about it that said that, I'll just read it off. It says, though many of the cast and crew were often tempted to taste the delicacies between takes, they had to be reminded that the food items were predominantly props and thus inedible.
I mean, I guess that makes sense, right? You're filming over a few days or even a few hours, and that food's not going to look the same. It's going to look bad. I read not as much, but I read a little thing about the final scene, right? And that was actually the final scene with all of the s'more stuff. It was shot over like a few days, right? Oh, wow. And so that whole thing where they're like tossing out like chocolate and like graham, right? You obviously can't just like have that sitting there for like hours as you shoot. And so they had to like find out how to make it look like this chocolate had just been like thrown out and stuff like that while making it just artificially. Right. And they had to practice with the actors beforehand. So like, even though you're just going to be like throwing this chocolate, you have to throw it like this. Otherwise it's not going to look like you actually did what's on the ground and stuff like that. So,
well, and just to throw another food reference, if any of you guys have seen the classic Gene Wilder film, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, that was an actual chocolate river, and it started to rot and
real life,
stink.
that's a chocolate?
Yeah, that's a real life chocolate river. It started to rot and stink, and so they were not staying in that like building very long, because originally it was very cooled. Like, the first few days, it's consistently moving, but because it was real, like it's actual like chocolate saucy water and stuff like that.
Wait,
it like started to rot.
So, even when like Augustus Gloop fell in that shit?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Got glooped.
Yeah, he literally got glooped. Yeah, so that like that's the thing. And Nick, I watched an interview with Nicholas Hoult or whatever his name is, who is the
Tyler, right?
Yeah, Tyler is like the foodie, the guy who's taking pictures. He talked about it. He's like, some of his food had to be edible because he was always stuffing his face, right? But he's
God, what a lucky guy to get that role.
Well,
just
he
to
was
be
like,
able to
he's
eat
like,
through the whole thing.
The first few times is great, but when you're on take 14, he's like, one, you're full,
like, spit bucket, right?
But two, like you're still just like having to consume this as if it's the first time you've done it.
Those oysters, stuff,
and not only that,
and
not only that, you have to appear so engrossed in it, right? Because his character literally, like, we're past spoilers, and I'm sure we'll talk about this later, doesn't even care that he's literally gonna die. Like, in a few hours, he's like, oh my gosh, like, this food, oh my goodness, these tortillas with my face label, give it to me. Like, oh my gosh, dude.
Well, there's so much more to that moment, though. Is like he's still proceeding as if nothing is happening, right? And he doesn't care. But like, the fact of the matter is that he chose to continue his normal behavior, like taking pictures, like he's gonna Instagram it later, even though he knows something. Like, this phone is gonna be burned in a few hours. Like, it doesn't freaking matter, So it's all this film. We could go into it.
Yeah,
so deep.
This brings me to my first kind of character point or theme of the movie or whatever is the Tyler of it all, the person who, whether it be for food or whether it be for movies, like a critic for movies or whoever, once you get too engrossed in something and you get too obsessed with the technical side of things that you forget to experience the magic of something, you know what I mean? Like, I've talked to a lot of people who watch movies and just will like completely write something off because of some dumb reason, it wasn't made, there's too much CGI or whatever, like I complain a lot about like the CGI in a Marvel movie or something, and sometimes I forget to just go in and just like experience the movie. And so I guess that's my question for you guys. Is there a character in this movie that you guys kind of see yourself in a little bit more than in the other ones. Because I kind of felt like that way with Tyler to an extent, not to the point of just like, I'm a crazy, I don't care if I die just so I can experience this thing because I love this guy so much, but like I could see myself a little bit, and that guy was just like, oh, I got to cool down a little bit.
I think the chef's mom in the corner. Yeah, that's
just
drinking myself into oblivion.
Disappointed in your children.
I don't know. I didn't really thought about that, but I think like I feel like sometimes I could kind of see myself in like Tyler or even the movie star, right? Not because I'd be famous, but just like because like a lot of times I want to experience things like that because it sounds cool, right? Like he's not even like a super huge foodie, right? But he's just like, oh, this place, like it's crazy, and I want to take you there because you know he likes his assistant, and he wants her to stay with him and stuff, right? And so he just like, yeah, he's like, oh yeah, I'll go just like spend it. And so I feel like myself, I've done stuff like that, not because I know the chef or anything like that. I'm just like, oh, this thing sounds so cool and like super fancy, and even if it's like expensive, I'm like, yeah, like I could like give that a go or something like that. When it's really like not that crazy, and I'm just like, oh man. But sometimes it is, and you're like, oh, whoa, crazy. But I'd say the movie star then, and the grandma in the corner.
The movie star grandma in the corner.
That's me.
Yeah, that's Josh. I kind of am like a sad, like the same thing, a mix of Tyler and a mix of the movie star. Because to be honest with you, I love the experience of something, right? Like that's what I want to go and do. However, I can be a pretentious jerk sometimes about food, especially because like I read cookbooks for fun. I follow celebrity chefs, like not even like people who like want to be like in the spotlight, but chefs who've like, I follow the Michelin Guide. Like I like that kind of stuff. It's enjoyable to me. But I do not have a fancy processor thing that guy has that turns whatever into snow. I like to cook at home.
Jet.
Whatever, yeah. I don't have that, but I like sometimes find myself like looking to the experience. So like for instance, like you go to a place like when you're traveling and I want the niche stupid local food that's there that like is on the street that everyone raves about, that they're like, "Oh, you have to go here." Cuz like think about it, like we've all been to Portland to get voodoo donuts. Like everyone's done it. It's a stunt food. Like people go for the experience, right? And that's where the movie star comes in. But then where Tyler, the obsessive in me comes, I like am like talking about like, oh gosh, the food is supposed to have like an acidic content like this, so it's supposed to do this, and then the next bite on the plate, like where you know the section where they're supposed to have bread but they don't have bread, you know, and it's got the different like oils and flavors and stuff like that. All those are supposed to give you like something unique and different, and like that's where I like want to experience as well. I'm starting to like spit out the side of my mouth, you know, I'm like, ah! but
this is like the first podcast in a long time where we haven't like sat down like with our drinks and stuff. Yeah. And we're all talking about food the whole time.
Yeah, we're just like over here salivating corner, but like. I would say like I'm like a dirty mix of both of them. Like it's shaken not stirred type thing like here, and
dirty mix.
Yeah, dirty mix, dirty beats. But it's just it's just kind of one of those things where you're like, oh okay, well, and that's where it comes in. So I would say like more so sadly I'm just like the excessive worst parts of both of those characters. Maybe not Tyler. I wouldn't go somewhere if I knew I was gonna die. But I would definitely go somewhere because I'm slightly pretentious. How
messed up was that?
Yeah, it's so messed up.
I think I've been that person, especially recently. I've kind of got on that, not to the point of going out to those islands for, you know, that experience not for a $1,200 meal, but like fast food is ruined for me. Like I can't do McDonald's anymore. I don't do Wendy's. But man, if you want to go to like Holy Taco or what's this freaking burger place down the street? Seven Brothers or something like that. That's got a little bit nicer hamburger, you know, like I'm all about that. But I started following all these like Instagram local food things. I'm trying to like hit them up.
You used to ping me all the time about stuff, and I'm like, bro, I want to go. Like, well,
check out the Mr. Fries, man, just because it's like Instagram famous.
Well, and that's the thing, right? It's like we do this, and that's part of the social media content of this whole thing where he's still snapping pictures because he wants to do that, and I get very passionate about this.
Because the clout is more important than the experience to him.
Yeah,
I mean, he puts on an act like with every bite, like, oh, it's so good. I can taste the blah, blah, blah. I can taste this. Let me hurry and take a picture when I do it so everyone knows that I'm experiencing this thing.
Well, and that's what's crazy. Like, when did, like, and I use this example, like, very honestly, like, historically people used to like pray before they ate. Now we snap before we eat. Like it's weird, like, right? And
offer our tokens to the Instagram
yes,
gods.
to the Instagram gods. But that's what the crazy thing is I've done this so many times myself, and I still do this to an extent.
Oh, and I'll still do it.
Like
if I find something I really like, I'm sharing that.
Oh, definitely.
I mean, half the reason that I go on vacations nowadays
It's to
is
eat.
to try the food,
Let's
the local
go.
cuisine, and I'm snapping those.
Why the heck else do you go on vacation? I went to Toronto recently for work. You better bet
poutine.
You better bet your sweet kneecaps I went and got some poutine. I also went and got like some other like local street foods that like they kind of got like more hype. Like there's a corn dog there that is like there's a corn dog. It has cheese wrapped around it, and then it has shrimp on that, and then the batter, and they fry it. And it was this little stand.
I was not ready for the shrimp.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, guys. So like I went and did this, and it was amazing. I walked 7 blocks for it just because I was like, I want that.
So good.
But like that's the thing though, is we'll continue to do it, but it's like so often. You're right. We're missing the experience for clout.
Yep.
I don't know.
Do you guys just want to turn this into a food podcast, and we can just keep
feel like
going
we
on
could do
this and
that.
talk about the best
Yeah.
food we've eaten in life?
Yeah, I would like to talk about Jollibee. Actually, I go to it in every city that's located across North America that I visit. No, we could go somewhere else.
The thing that I wanted to talk about to see if you guys had any thoughts on was obviously this movie talks a lot about, people and class, right? Because a big part of this is, this guy who he's worked and made it into like this upper class of elite people who he's only serving 12 plates a night to people who are paying $1,200 and stuff, right? And he just hasn't found his happiness and stuff, right? And it talks so much about that. The thing that I wanted to talk about was something that is both brought up by a lot of people after watching the movie and also directly referenced in the film is why didn't these people fight back harder when they realized something was up, right? So I had like a list of all of the things that they did, right, that they put up on screen, Amuse Bou's first course and stuff. The mess, which is the one where the sous chef, takes his life, is in like the middle, right? There's still so much that happens after that, right? And obviously it's like super crazy, and some things do happen where they run and they're talking, and there are some people guarding them, but they reference it directly in the movie, like, you guys haven't really even tried to get out of here, like. And so I was wondering like what your guys' thoughts were about that, about like why, and with everything that's going on in the movie, but also like, I don't know, just if you had any thoughts about like that's going on.
I thought about this during the movie actually, which is crazy, and I thought about it afterwards. So so my review on Letterboxd, and I posted this on Letterboxd, so I want to read it directly on how I did it. It's like Midsummer and Mother had a baby.
Never saw Mother. But
Okay, Mother's crazy. I watched it with Josh. But in Midsommar, right, these people try to leave the experience, and what happens to them? They die.
it didn't turn out so well.
Didn't turn out so well. And in this film, nobody actually really tries to leave. There's some soft, like, oh, we're going show of like that kind of stuff. And people are like sitting glued to their seats, but they're still waiting for the next act. Like this whole thing was an act. Like each time he would clap his hands and bring out the next thing, people were just waiting on their toes for this experience. We do the same thing in movies all the time. You're like, what's the next curve? What's the next part of the story? Right? That's why they've invented luxury loungers, just so you can be more comfortable, and then they vibrate your seat when something comes up. That's the whole thing right here. Is they should have gotten up. They should have left. They could have definitely like beasted out. Like I think there's only like 12 people in the whole meal though. I think, right? Correct, something like that. And there's like double staff per person, right? So they definitely could have tried, and I think that had they like actually made a fuss, I think it would have changed the experience of that Slowick gave them. It might have been different. And what's crazy is he gives them the opportunity to run, right? At one point in the time, he's like, "Run! I'll give you like 10-second head start. Even you must go." Which also now that knowing the end, he just was like, "I know what's gonna happen." Like that's what's crazy, but like you just want to be a part of it. I think that was it. They just wanted to be a part of it. They wanted to experience whatever this grand masterpiece that Chef Slowick was offering, which ended to them becoming the world's worst, most garbage dessert, a s'more.
I guess we can that was a perfect segue into my Letterboxd review. We all have, I think we all had one-line Letterboxd reviews, right? A lot of time I do more. or two or something like that. My one-line letterboxed review for this movie was, I can't believe it took nearly a 2-hour movie and 20-plus deaths for me to realize that s'mores are an absolutely trash dessert. And I've been thinking about that since the end of the movie, and I was like, I can take a lot of things from this movie, but I just know, like, the next time I go camping or something, like why?
Do neither of you guys like s'mores?
Did you not watch the movie, Vince?
I've watched it.
Don't get me wrong. He's like this big pompous guy who's literally like killing a ton of people.
I
right?
hate how sticky I get when
I know,
eat them.
but I love s'mores, man. I love them.
I feel like I make a s'more. This is something that my wife actually told me, and I was like, oh yeah, totally. You go, you make a s'more, right? And it like looks so good, but then you just eat it, and you like, it's so terrible to eat, as you're eating, it's just not even that
you need a s'mores master.
The chocolate's not even really melted.
So,
the graham crackers are just dry.
Just a bunch of melted sugar.
Oh
this is how you change it up.
Terrible.
You take and you go get the smaller square marshmallows, or you get marshmallow fluff. So you put down your graham cracker, you put down your chocolate, you melt your chocolate with a lighter, you put down this marshmallow, heat it up, put your s'more on top. That's the only way to eat it.
I just feel like we got to be careful trying to like innovate the s'more, because then we're going to get to, the level it did in this movie.
Cook some people in it.
So I think that's going to be like your next step. Right now it's square marshmallows, but then it's human marshmallows.
Everyone will be here.
Oh man. Anyway, sorry, I had to throw
you guys. I like.
Yeah, but what is your thing though?
Yeah,
what is your thoughts on that?
I think that scene that you brought up is it kind of shows what I think the reason that they stuck around. That chase scene you were talking about. Yeah, I think they are all very selfish and self-centered people who, I agree with you, want to see what's next. I deserve this, I deserve that. I paid $1,200 for this meal. I'm not going anywhere. This is all, and even to the point where the guy shot himself, they were still finding ways to justify.
It's part of the act. That's what they said.
Which would be my reaction too. I mean, we have a lot of these like big, terrible things that happen around the world, and the first reaction that most people have is like trying to, this can't be true. This can't be happening to me, and like they don't act because they're confused at first and then scared. And then these people specifically, you can see in that scene where they're trying to get away, are very self-centered and selfish. They get a chance to get away, and what do? They all run away separately. They all go their different ways. And even the one guy's just like, this is my way to run. You go somewhere else. They should have worked together to try to get away. They were out there in the forest. They could have started picking off all of these assistant chefs or whatever one by one and got away together, but instead they were all too selfish, and they fought, and they all got captured and drugged back. And I think in the end of it, I think they all kind of knew why they were there. I mean, by the end of it, they all seemed very accepting, especially the movie star that was kind of just like, okay, I get why you brought me here, and I don't know how I'm going to get away, so I'm just going to accept that I'm a part of this. The old boring wife and husband, they only go there because they have too much money and they don't know what to do with it. So they're just kind of like, they can't fight back. So if they don't have everybody's help, then they're useless. Everyone's just kind of accepted what's happened out of, like I said, fear, and also they don't think of the whole, they just think of themselves. Well, and when it gets into that situation where it's like, oh, we could all work together, but what if I'm the one that gets hurt? It's not worth saving everyone else if I'm the one who doesn't get away. Kind of feel like that's why they were stuck there. They stayed.
I totally agree with you. And there's a point in like a process, right, when you can't turn back. When you're like, cool, I'm just embracing it. Like, it is what it is. I think that's the point where they got to. Some of them got to in the movie, like,
yeah,
it is what it is. Like, once the meal got more targeted towards the stuff that was happening externally, some of them just were like, oh my gosh, I can't change things. Like, after the investor got like drowned at sea, like stuff like that changes people. Like, it's the trauma of the moment, and you just become more and more here for the moment.
Definitely. I agree with what you guys said. I also think something that Vince said kind of stuck out to me with my own feelings about why it was happening and what was going on. You talked about, like, those specific types of people and how they were so selfish and just the way that they were acting. These types of people can't even imagine, like, a situation like this happening to them, right? Like, the people they associate themselves with, the places that they go, this type of stuff, any sort of, like, crazy violence and stuff like that, it doesn't really happen around them anyways. And so while they still do try to get out, and a lot of other stuff like happens. I feel like because of the type of people they are, they're just in some immense, crazy shock that they're just like, and they can't think of anything else to do. And they do stay for the show. I feel like it as well. They're like, oh, what's next? And this stuff happens. But I feel like just because they know they're a part of it, they're staying for the show, they're shocked, is why it just kind of things upon things, and where it actually makes sense. Because when I was first watching it and when I saw what people were saying online, a ton of people were like, oh, this just doesn't make sense. Like, they're not even like trying to get out. But as you look at all of the things, we each kind of had like a little bit of the same but kind of different responses. There's reasons why, and it makes sense. But it also makes sense why Anya Taylor-Joy, her character Margot Aaron, was also able to kind of think and find a way out of it, if that makes sense.
Well, it comes from your background. Like certain people are more resourceful in finding what they need based off of a little to nothing versus, and like, if we go into it, right, she was a service worker of some form. She was an escort, right? And she knew how to survive in very challenging and very uncomfortable situations. And she found a way to do so. Whereas like these people who have more money, who have like a little bit more cushiness, they usually have people to do that for them.
Yeah, that's kind of her job too, is to read people, right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of what she did with him, was kind of read him and figured out what he wanted, found a way to get out that way. Everyone else is just like, you know who I am? You don't mess with me. I'm connected. So leave me alone. She's like, no, I don't have anybody. I got to figure this out on my own.
Do you guys want to talk about, I feel like we'll have a lot to say about the movie, and so I don't want to necessarily like jump to the end, but just kind of while we're on the topic, I was like wondering your guys' thoughts about the end of the movie and what happened. Or we could do something else first if we want to. Just, it was kind of, I felt like it was kind of a good thing to talk about next. So obviously we get to the end of the movie, right? And like every time when I was trying to read up stuff beforehand and I was looking, there were so many articles that were like, the menu explained, like the menu ending explained, the menu ending explained. And I was like, yes, I get it, because it's like kind of like a weird and controversial and maybe not understanding ending, like for a lot of people. And I'm not saying that I like understood it even like 100% until I thought about it a lot afterwards. But I was just like, I felt like it wasn't like that crazy, right? Where like every single person writing a review is like the menu ending explained.
I think it's because it can be very, I mean, you can take it at face value and just enjoy it as a thriller, you know, or you can look at it a little bit more, a little bit deeper and kind of find those like hidden meanings of what it's saying, like you're talking about content, you know, and creation. And I mean, in the case of the chef and why he was there and why he was doing this, he's an artist that lost his passion because he reached a peak and got to the point where he no longer loved what he loved to do, because he was just doing it for people who didn't appreciate his work, and he lost his love for it, and he lost himself in it all, you know? I mean, you can look at it pretty deep, and each person has kind of that a representation to him, you know? I wrote down some of them. We talked about like Tyler, the reason that he was there, the failed actor, like why would he bring him, this failed actor, to this meal? And literally the only reason was because he saw a movie of him and he was so bad in the movie that he was so offended that this man is an artist who has no love for his art, and the chef sees himself, I think, in that artist, of just like he lost his love, and except for that guy just stopped caring and gave up. And for that reason, on top of like him showing off and everything, being a bad person, he's like, that's the reason that you're there. Every one of these characters has, you know, something similar to that. The married couple are bored with life and all they do is spend their money. The movie star's girlfriend, she's spoiled. She went to a really high expensive college, but was carried through the whole thing, and she doesn't appreciate, you know, everything that she was given. Like everyone has these specific things. So I think that's probably what people are going into in those like explain me videos, is just going in depth in the deeper meaning in this, what could be of just simple fun menu food killing movie, but is deeper.
Yeah, well, think about that like writer and kind of the way she keeps describing everything out loud, talking to that person across the seat from her, and like just like dissecting everything. And I think that's when we come down to like back in the day, like a lot of artists and people who, right, not everyone was loved in their time for their art because they didn't get real-time feedback often, right? Like your work, you might be famous in Italy, for instance, but maybe no one in Germany knew who the heck you were, type thing, right? Like it was a smaller thing. And now because, right, we're connected through the web, people are writing blogs, like sure, I might have written something nice about you one time. And this reminds me of like Chef, that movie where the guy does a food truck. The guy writes really good reviews of him before, and then as his like work decays and like his kind of like stuff gets stale and stagnant, like the stuff changes. And in this Chef Slowick, he's like at the top of his game, and like people are criticizing him for being not creative, for not being who he needs to be in this experience, according to them, off their own perceptions. But he's put himself in a place where he's like, how can I love my art if no one else does, or if everyone says I'm doing a bad job, right? And that's the thing, though, is like we get so much real-time feedback that it's detrimental to some people and their creativity. And I think that's another example of this. And maybe I just over-explained or re-explained what you're talking about. I don't know.
That's perfect. Like he has literally reached a peak in cooking where he's making all these overly complicated things for people who don't enjoy it.
Yeah.
And that's what saves Margot's life, is like all he wants to do is cook for people who will enjoy his movie, or cook for people that will enjoy his food. And when it comes right down to it, everyone's going to enjoy just a basic double cheeseburger.
Yeah.
And that just brought him back to the simple, I'm just going to cook this simple cheeseburger for someone who's just going to love it and appreciate it. And that gives him what he's been looking for, through this for years. It's just like making something easy for someone who will appreciate it.
When you catch him smiling while he's doing it, you catch him actually enjoying the process, right?
Enjoying his art again.
And think about it too, like if you do something so long and everyone praises you for good things, and then suddenly everyone turns on you, like, oh, what's happened? Why have you stopped? Or what's going on? You're gonna start second guessing everything you do in that way. And there's nothing more simple than a double cheeseburger with crinkle fries.
His smile matches the smile, obviously, from the photo that she saw, right, when he was younger, when he was cooking up, that cheeseburger at whatever, little restaurant he worked at when he was...
Happy Dave's.
When he was younger, Happy Dave's.
I don't know if that's right.
I was like, oh my gosh, you remember that? Jeez. It just matches that. And I feel like it does make him happy, which is what kind of compels him to let her go. I feel like it was also... Like, even though he's this artist and he's on this, like, mad, crazy journey of the menu, right? His plan to do the next level of his art of, this whole plan, the whole thing the movie's about, right? But I feel like he's still, like, weirdly human, because since she wasn't supposed to be there originally, and he's like, all right, are you going to be on their side or our side? And he does that whole thing, right? And he gets to a point with her where she's been so weird about it, right? Because all of these people the whole night are like, oh, yes, like this food. But, obviously before we get to the crazy, crazy part, right? They're like, oh, yes, this food, the mouthfeel. Like, even like you've got all those, the bread plate without the bread, right? And they're just like, oh, yes, interesting. When it's like, in reality, that'd just be like, disgusting, right?
I'm still so bugged.
Like balsamic, like can you imagine something as strong as like balsamic, and like that's like what's basically on there, and you're just supposed to like what, like drink it, like use that weird little wooden spoon that he like gave you, like that would just be so.
I would be so pissed if I spent $1,200 on a restaurant experience known for their bread, and he came out and was just like, no, I'm not going to give you bread. This is part of the show. I'd be like, bull crap, I came here to enjoy this food.
Well, and that's what those bros do, right? They're like, can we get some bread?
I felt seen with those guys. I've been right there with them, like, this is bull crap.
Well, and then that's the thing, right? Is like, and yeah, so they're kind of like that, but there's just like so much of them, especially Tyler, right? That's just like eating it up, and it's part of this whole experience, and she's just not about it, right? Like the whole time she's kind of been like out of it. And so he not only feels like he's doing this whole thing, but he also feels like this is like his masterpiece, right? The menu he's been working on. And she is like, even though she wasn't planning to be there, she's rejecting him, saying he's not like a good chef the whole time, right? And so when she finally gets to that point where, and so we have all the symbolism that goes along with it. But when we finally get to that point where she's like, yeah, just like make me like a good double cheeseburger, and he's happy and he makes it for her. And then she says that it's like really good. I also feel like that's like, that's like her like doing her thing, but it's also like, all right, like, my masterpiece like can still go on, can still be completed. She thinks I'm a good chef. Like, okay, like we can do this now.
She was ruining his perfect night because everyone else was buying into it except for her. So he had to please the one person who wasn't buying into it.
And so that's why he was like, all right, you can go. It's okay. It's okay. We can finish now.
Well, and that's just like the beauty of the whole thing, right? Though, is that like he found a way to still feel satisfied, even though Like, it's kind of like he says early on, you're not supposed to be here. Like, there is a plan and you're not a part of it. She put herself into the plan, but then casually excused herself from the table in a matter of speaking, right? She's like, cool, I need to take this to go. But why did he let that happen? Because she fulfilled his need right there to be a good chef, to be satisfied with the opportunity experience, and to go. And that's all it was at the end there. It's like, all it takes is just that. And it's surprising. It was jarring. And it gets down to where everyone's just, right, toasted. And she's not. I don't know what else to say.
They were all even cool with it. Like, all the people who were putting on their, big old marshmallow coats and chocolate hats. They were all like, yeah, like, go ahead. Like, they all kind of accepted their fate. They were ready for the final dessert of the menu, They got through the whole thing, even Tyler's bullshit, so.
Well, and they could have fought back at any point throughout all this. Like, there's a whole break where he's just making her a freaking cheeseburger, and they're just sitting there like, oh, nice cheeseburger.
In their defense, there was a gun in the room, and all those chefs had a lot of knives and stuff.
True.
I would be pretty slow to move too, I think, if
Vince?
I saw every one of those chefs with those big old butcher knives and stuff in their hands.
Let's step
Me
back
having nothing.
to your comment, Vince, about, like, if I'm not going to get out of here, why fight back thing that you said? No, I'm just kidding.
I'm selfish. I'm gonna sit back here and snap pictures of my food. And pretend
I don't
like
want
it
a
more
knife
than I
in
really
my
do.
back either, so it's fine. No, that's an interesting thought, though. I didn't think about that, though, at that point in the show.
I felt like one of the most, it ended up being comedic, but at first it was just like really cool, and I liked it to go along with the idea of the film, right? Like the menu, and as it's going along, and it tells the story in really blatant terms, but every time it would pop up with one of the little, like, the things where it would say, yes, the first course, here's what it is, and all that stuff. And even as the movie gets crazy, it still does that. Like, one of my, because I wrote them down, or I got them from a website, and I'm not going to read all of them because there was a lot as the movie went along, but there was a lot of them because they just started normally, and then you had, the mess, pressure cooked beef, bone broth, heirloom carrots and potatoes, R.I.P. Jeremy Lukes, like that kind of stuff, or the final dessert course, s'more, marshmallow chocolate graham cracker, customer staff restaurant, like just that popping up like so casually, like we're on an episode of like the Great British Baking Show or something like that, and you're just like, oh my gosh, like what is this? I thought it was hilarious.
We need
and
Noel
really good.
describing the meal as we go from Great British Bake Off. So this week, our Chef Slowick has provided to us a very beautiful thing, and then little artsy drawing coming up. I can see it now. Oh,
just a gorgeous little drawing of the one chef stabbing him in the leg or crotch or wherever it was.
Oh man, that was crazy. I kind of forgot about that for a minute.
Yeah,
that was a weird part where he's like, giving the description of the whole thing. What a performance, though. Also, can we talk about the second restaurant house thing that's like a duplicate of the restaurant in a way? That's like where she finds out about
his
him
like
cooking.
room or something.
That's his like bedroom house.
Yeah,
or
it's like his
whatever.
house.
How
right.
obsessed he is with perfection, as he's even bringing his art home with him, and obsessing.
I
with it in
mean,
his
you
spare
already
time.
live on this island, right? Like, are you really that far from it? I don't.
But
Yeah.
but maybe he.
But
has
that's like
to
the thing,
separate-
right?
Weird,
Is there
weird
some-
cult island.
Yeah, that was a cult-like experience, and where they're like, "Oh, we all sleep in this room together."
Yeah.
Right. I looked
the
at that
military.
because they had not only that, but like it showed you literally like the friggin' toilet there too, right? It wasn't like, oh, there's like this one toilet we all use, which would already be gross. It's just sitting there
Yeah.
in the room, right? Like where they're all sleeping. You're just like, okay, whatever.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
Things
very-
you do for a cooking cult.
Yeah, anything to have a good time with my friends.
Yeah. I got two little fun facts, and that's I think about all I've got. The idea for the movie, the writer Will Tracy came up with the idea while visiting Bergen, Norway, when he took a boat to a fancy restaurant to a nearby private island and realized they were stuck or trapped on the island until the meal was done. So he literally had this experience where he went out to a restaurant and started eating, and he got a little bit like claustrophobic while he was on that island, thinking like, I'm stuck here until this is over. Like,
Do you know the name of the restaurant he went to in Bergen?
No, it didn't say, but I'm
That
sure you could
makes
look it up.
a little more sense because when I was looking up stuff about this movie, I read, like, you know how Google autofills that stuff for you, right? I was looking up like the menu, and I put like is the menu, and someone put like based on a true story, and I was like, excuse me, like what do you think happened? But they're probably like heard something like that, and so they're like, oh, okay, and so they're like trying to find that sort of story. That makes more sense.
Yeah, and he said that on a talk show. I don't remember which one, so it's probably floating out there, very popular.
Right.
The only other thing was John Leguizamo based his washed-up movie action star character on the actor Steven Seagal.
Really?
He says it says to whom he called a horrible human due to a particularly bad experience while working with Seagal on a movie or something. So
That's hilarious.
kind of funny.
He's just like, screw this guy.
Yeah.
He's like,
My horrible movie person is based on you. Could you imagine if you're just like watching an interview with the guy who plays Tyler, and he's like, oh, dude, I based my character off of this guy. And it's you, and you're just like, I hated that guy.
well, it's just like in American Psycho, right? When what's his bucket based, Christian Bale based his character portrayal off of Tom Cruise in an interview.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, his whole entire person is like,
Tom Cruise.
yeah. So it's like the
Tom
same.
Cruise.
That's amazing though. And what a curious thing though that you get enough creative freedom to be like, cool, I'm gonna base my portrayal of this character, like the movie star, off of Steven Seagal.
Oh, man.
That's amazing.
That's all I got.
Yeah. Anything else from you?
Do we got anything other than our most rewindable moment?
Oh,
You
yeah,
wanna do
yeah.
that?
That was going to be our next thing. Do you want to start with yours, Josh?
Oh man, I feel bad if I take anyone else's because I just thought of mine like while we were doing the podcast.
Well, start feeling bad and tell us what it is.
All right. I feel bad already. My most rewindable moment from the movie was, I'm trying to like remember it. I'm like, oh crap, I had it and I'm forgetting it. My most rewindable moment from the movie was the mess. Not because, so when the sous chef died by suicide.
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
And so obviously it was a super like crazy moment, right? Obviously like something like that happens, and suicide is something that's like super real for a lot of people, and obviously it just fits into like the narrative of this movie like that. But it was just my most rewindable moment because that was the moment where it was like official, right? Like stuff had already been happening, there was weird stuff going on, right? And then that moment happened, and they just like set it all up, right? They lay out this tarp, they put out these herbs and like spices and stuff like that, right? And then they just draw this plastic curtain, and then they open the curtain and they bring out the food, and you're just like, what? And everyone is shocked, right? Like even though we've talked about how like they didn't ever really try super hard to escape, but just like that's the moment where it just gets like, what is happening? Like this just went to the next level. It's where you really found out kind of what's going on in this movie, that it's not only just this sinister plot of this one man, but everyone's in on it, and it's going to be a crazy night. So, and I mean that in like a crazy way, but also like it was kind of shocking and like kind of like hits, right? The guy like shoots himself, and that's tough. So
That was a crazy one. And also to think about it, like they put up those sheets to block like the blood from getting into the kitchen so that they could continue to cook, so it was still sanitary and clean. And then they take it down, and it's like a sacrifice, right? Like they prepped him as a sacrifice. And this was mind blowing, and how the chef just like belittles the sous chef, and it's like, you'll never make it to my prestige. You will never be. And it's like wild because like we as people, we have like, it's right, like never meet your heroes thing, right? In this industry, same type of thing. Probably some people go and they do something. It's like, never meet these people you want to interact with. And so I don't know. It's wild to me. That's all I had to say. Can I do mine, Vince?
Yeah, go for it.
So actually, and stupidly, mine is the cheeseburger scene. Like in all honesty, that's it. And it's not because of any other reason, but the actual joy I felt in that moment, actually, because it was kind of like, and like I said, I compared this to Midsommar in a way, right? Like it's actually that moment of clarity and happiness and peace, and it just is like good and nice. So that was it.
I think mine was, it's been a little bit since I've seen the movie, so not a lot of scenes are fresh in my mind, but I remember really enjoying the tortilla scene And they bring out the wraps, and everyone starts looking at the little pictures, and you start finding out like the bad things that these people have been up to. And one by one, you're just like, oh yeah, that guy's messed up. Oh yeah, that guy's messed up. And little by little, you're learning, and then it gets to Tyler, and it's like him
taking the pictures. Right?
He's been breaking the rules the whole time, and it's just like I've never seen. I felt so. I understood why the chef took that. I hate it when I just told you guys I saw Violent Night the other night. Literally 4 people around me had their phones out for the first 10 minutes of that movie. The kid right to my left, the kid right to my right, the kid right to the front in front of me, and a couple rows down in front. And I just wanted to be like, hey guys, you guys gonna watch this movie or what? It's just like, put your dang phones away.
Where's Michael when you needed him?
If they're gonna ask you to put your phones away, just be respectful and put your phones away. And I don't know. That's a little side note. But that whole scene where you're just kind of finding out all the things that these people have done wrong, and you're like, oh, okay, I see why these are all bad people.
Laser engraved tortilla, man.
Yeah,
I do too.
Yeah.
Is that like just for the movie, or can we do that? Because it wasn't like, oh, it's laser engraved, and so it's like burnt on there. It looked like just like, the nice light brown was making the picture, like not some burnt.
Nice, good toasting.
Still looks yummy to eat.
Also, what's really cool about that, and sorry to keep jumping in on these little moments about this, but what's really cool about that is that they uncover everything. They lay it out for you, everything that's happened in that, right? And so it's not just like a little, like I've done terrible things. Like that lady had closed a bunch of restaurants with her reviews, and like the guys with all their like money transfers. That was like crazy. That one table of bros, we could do a whole podcast on the actual audacity of them bitches, but we won't. But it's just like, it's crazy. Like there's so much about it. So yeah, that's I love that part too. Oh, good job.
We're going to wrap up, but just since we're on the topic of those other characters, oh my gosh, the one who annoyed me maybe even more than Tyler was the guy who sat opposite of the restaurant critic. That you could just tell that he was just like, oh, yes, that's what it is. When she's like, she says something so pompous, but that's like her job, right? And so you're like, whatever. And he's like, that's what it is. Oh my goodness. Yes. And then he says something like simple, and she's like, no. It's like this. And he's like, you're so right. And I'm just like, oh my God. Shut up. Man. Like,
he's an enabler of the worst.
And then when when they did the thing where they could run, he was just like, all right, bye. Like, he's like, sorry, I'm gone. Anyway, sorry, just while we were on the topic of those guys,
that's a great call out. Like, I think with this show, and just in closing, my closing thoughts on this, you could approach the show and be every single person in a moment in your time, like, about this. Because all of us can be pompous. All of us can be an enabler of bad behavior. All of us can be just like a passenger to someone else's bad behavior.
We've all laundered money here and there, right?
Yeah. Like
just me?
Laundering money. I have 4 accounts in the Caymans and 2 numbered Swiss accounts. What can I say? But no, I'm just meaning like, I don't necessarily know that you're all those behaviors, right? But there's attitudes, actions that you could take that are like, that's just a little bit kind of like that, and you could relate a little bit on the level. But yeah, no, I don't think any of you guys are terrible money launderers, and I don't know that either of you are paying for sex with random service workers. So maybe. But I could find out later that you are, and I'd probably give you a high five. I don't know, whatever. That makes me sound really douchey. I'm very sorry. That was full sarcasm, and I'm looking like an ass. But anyhow, I got nothing else.
We could be anyone in this movie, but mostly we're the mom in the corner.
The mom in the corner. Yeah.
That's our character.
And mostly, I just want to make that cheeseburger. And I actually found a recipe for it while we're here.
I just want to eat it.
Let's do a cheeseburger night.
All right. Next up on the Pause Around Play podcast, the cheeseburger.
The cheeseburger.
This is when it turns into the cooking show.
I love that how much we've all talked about food during this as well, because it's kind of like we eat every day. Everyone eats, and the experience of this restaurant was that the exclusive eat here. And so you who are watching at home or listening at home, right? You're not the exclusive. If you're watching this, you're a great person. Everyone's welcome here. We want you to partake in the Pause Around Play podcast. And we'll be back again soon with another great episode. Thanks again, Vince, for setting this up, and we'll catch you next time.